Now, I'm joined by Robin Walker, Conservative Member of Parliament for Worcester. Welcome to GB News. Welcome to the programme. You're here in front of your constituents. And, of course, there's one burning question here, and it's not even the Founds Hotel. We might come to that. What on earth is going on with Worcester Warriors? The rugby, a premier rugby team, cup winners this year. And now it looks like players' contracts have been breached. There could be a mass walkout. The first game of the season is due in a few days. What's happening?
It's a massively worrying situation. This is a great club, and this is a club in which Cecil Duckworth, who's a local entrepreneur, made all his money locally, reinvested it in the community, and enabled the Worcester Warriors to become a Premiership-level club. They've been a fantastic success for the city. They've been a great draw for the county, but they're now in a situation where they seem to be financially on the brink. The current owners promised everybody they would make payroll today. Seem to have failed to do so, and I'm hearing from players and from their families that they simply haven't been paid. That is totally unacceptable. And what we need now is we need a situation in which this can be sorted out quickly, crucially with the future of the club and professional rugby at Sixways at its heart. And I think whatever happens now, I want to make sure that keeping professional rugby at Sixways is at the heart of it.
Could it be the developers have got their eyes on the ground?
It could well be, and that's one of the reasons why I got together with the councils locally, and we put out a joint statement last week to make it very clear that whilst there is scope for development around the site, we're only going to be able to support development if it benefits rugby and the community. So I think it's vital people understand there is no benefit from trying to split this up and sell the land off.
I mentioned that, Robin, because there is a housing... it's not just Worcester, but there is a housing crisis in this country. Nearly 3,000 people here on the waiting list, frustrated. And you saw the video that we just produced about Albanian gang crime on the rise in every county in England. Of that, there is absolutely no doubt. Your government elected to take back control of our borders. And it isn't just the fact that 50 or 60,000 people will cross the channel this year. It's that Albanians are coming in such huge numbers, openly saying they're coming to join the illegal drugs trade in this country. As a Conservative standing for re-election, what do you say to your constituents on that?
Well, I say any form of criminality needs to be dealt with seriously. That's why we're increasing police numbers, and that's why I think we do need to take drugs crime seriously. I've been out with the proactive unit of the local police.
But we're adding to the problem. The channel crisis is adding to the problem.
Lines issues. With regard to the channel issue, we all want to make sure that these illegal crossings stop. We want to protect people from these traffickers who are taking advantage of that, and that's why we've had major policy announcements such as the Rwanda policy. To try and deal with that, but we need to make sure that we have a robust legal system, and that's also why I think it's been one of the things both the candidates in the Conservative leadership contest have been very clear about. They're willing to take tough action to take control of this situation and to ensure that the crossings stop. But we also need to address housing need, and I know locally from my inbox that we do need more affordable houses. We need more affordable houses, not all over the greenfields, not on greenfield sites like the sites around Sixways, but actually in our cities. And one of the things I've been campaigning for, we got money from the government through our towns deal, is regeneration in Worcester, in the area around Shrub Hill Station, at the heart of the city.
You're going to need it.
Opportunity for more.
You're going to need it because the channel aside, 1.2 million people were given visas to come and live in Britain last year. The population is rocketing. House building is nowhere near it. I put it to you on the channel quickly. The only way we're going to stop this is by leaving the ECHR.
I think we can make our own British Bill of Rights and we can toughen the position. Rishi Sunak has said he wants to redefine asylum seekers in a way which is actually more in line with the ECHR, less in line with the EU. There are approaches to this that we can take.
We'll see.
I think we need to make sure.
We'll see. But thus far, every promise of Priti Patel has failed. Now, you voted Remain in the referendum. This constituency was pretty much in line with the rest of the country. It is, as I said earlier, it's Middle England. It's a great barometer. You accepted the Brexit result after the referendum, which some didn't. But isn't it ironic that as a Remainer you finished up in the Department for Exiting the European Union?
Yeah, of course, that was great.
Isn't this what's gone wrong with this government?
On day one after the referendum, I said it's now for everybody, whichever side of the referendum debate we were on, to roll up our sleeves and make this process a success. And that was something that I took very seriously. I worked very hard during that time at the Department for Exiting the European Union to make sure we could do that. And I absolutely accepted the verdict of the voters. I campaigned in the first place for there to be a referendum.
I know.
One of the 81.
I know. you campaigned for a referendum.
I always felt that the British people had to have the ultimate say about whether we were signed up to this political project of the European Union. And I didn't feel what they were offered in 1975 was that same choice. So I felt they had to have that say. Now, I took the view, and I spoke to businesses locally, I spoke to people locally, I took the view that the pragmatic, straightforward way forward was to try and campaign
you
to
accept
stay
that,
in.
don't it?
But I accepted the result, and from that,
I'm not going to argue with you on it.
I wanted to make sure we could leave effectively.
I'm not going to argue with it. It just struck me, and if the bookies are right and Liz Truss wins on Tuesday, we get a Remainer as Prime Minister. Yes. Now, energy policy. This completely bonkers drive towards net zero. We import huge amounts of gas. We're still importing coal from Australia. We import oil. This country could easily have been self-sufficient in energy. It's been the choice of the Conservative government for the last 12 years not to be. That has impacted on the cost of living. What needs to be done?
We need to generate more of our own electricity and energy. That's absolutely true. And we need to do it through both nuclear and through renewables. Yes, I think we should also be looking at gas where gas can help fill the gap. But I think, crucially, we can't ignore the fact, and your news just picked up on the high temperatures, but climate change is actually happening. We do need to have global action on that. What we want to make sure,
will the Chinese play ball in your
What
opinion?
we want to make sure is that we're not offshoring these problems. That's exactly what I was coming to. And I think when you raise the point of coal, there's some interesting arguments around coking coal, which we need for our steel plants. I'd far rather we were developing that domestically rather than shipping it around the world from Australia. So we need to make sure that we have a coherent energy policy which is about generation of all sorts. Now, there are some successes in terms of the amount of renewable generation that has kicked off under this government. 99% of all solar that exists in the UK today was put in place under this government. But of course, solar only works when the sun shines brightly.
And wind only works when the wind blows. And there is the prospect.
That's why we need...
Robin, there is the prospect of the lights going out in February. It's not a very impressive record, is it?
We kept the lights on to date. We absolutely need to make sure where we deal with the cost of energy, we deal with the international pressures that we're seeing, for instance, Russia's impact on the cost of wholesale gas. It's good to hear Nadeem Zahawi talking about international action to coordinate against that and to make sure we can bring those prices down. And we need to help families now with the cost of living, and that's something that I take very seriously.
I mean, has this contest not gone on for far too long?
I would far rather it could have been resolved even quicker, but I think, like many of my colleagues, I went to the 22 committee, I said we want to get this resolved as quickly as we can. I think it's fair enough that they want the members to have their say. I think it's vital that members did have their say in this unique situation that we're in. But if it could have been done quicker, I would have welcomed it, because we need to get on now.
I think
I've written to both the candidates to set out what I think needs to be done to help my constituents locally, because I think the important thing for all MPs to be doing now is to be advocating for the needs of the communities that they represent.
Final thought. Will Middle England hold for the Conservatives? Will Robin Walker hold his seat here in Worcester at the next general election?
Well, I will do everything I can to make sure that we do and that we can deliver for people. I've been told many times before, I remember being told in 2017 by the exit poll that I'd lost my seat. I've been told many times before that we're not going to be able to hold on to Worcester. I believe, actually, if you campaign for the right things, you deliver for people, you deliver for your NHS, for schools, for the housing, some of the things that people really care about, we can do this, but we've got a big to-do list and we need to get on with it.
Certainly have.
I want to hit the ground running under a new leader.
Robin, thank you for coming here, joining us on GB News live in front of your constituents. Thank you very much.